Good morning, everyone. Today's our discussion topic is lacrimal apparatus. That includes in the chapter of the scalp, face, and temple. Now, structures which are concerned with the secretion and drainage of the lacrimal fluid or tear fluid that constitute the lacrimal apparatus. Now, it consists of lacrimal gland and its ducts, then conjunctival sac, then lacrimal puncta and lacrimal canaliculi, then lacrimal sac, and lastly the nasolacrimal duct. Now this diagram showing the structure of the orbital cavity that includes the eyeball, and most important structure today we discuss is the part of the lacrimal apparatus, that is lacrimal gland. That is seen here, lacrimal gland. This is the eyeball, and these are the outer covering of the eyeball, that is the upper and lower eyelids. Okay. Now location of the lacrimal gland, that is located in the anterolateral part of the roof of the orbital cavity. This is called as a roof of the orbital cavity. There is a lacrimal fossa is there. So in which there is a location of the lacrimal gland. It is a serous gland. Now another structure can be seen are the middle of the palpebral fissure. That's showing the centrally there is a pupil, and this is the iris, and this is the cornea, and outside the cornea on its side there is a white in color structure, that is sclera. This one is the upper eyelid and lower eyelid. Eyelids are nothing but the movable curtain which cover the protect the eyeball from the any foreign body entry or any injury or from the bright light. So on the medial aspect as well as lateral aspect, this angle of this palpebral fissure, that is called as a medial canthus and lateral canthus of the eye. Now near the medial angle of the eye there is a presence of lacrimal carbuncle, that is the centrally reddish color elevation within the lacus lacrimalis. This triangular area is called as a lacus lacrimalis, and this is called as a plica semilunaris. That is the that demarcate the medial portion of the eye. Now this diagram showing the sagittal section of the eyelids. So eyelids containing from superficial to deep. This is the bony part, bony wall of the orbital cavity. So here outer side there is a skin, then there is a superficial fascia containing the orbicularis oculi muscle out around the eyeball, around the orbital cavity. There is a orbicularis oculi muscle that you already learned in the facial muscles. So this palpebral part of the orbicularis oculi that is present within the superficial fascia. Then deep to this there is a palpebral fascia. It is a thin membrane which connects this bony orbital margin to the inner aspect of the eyelids. So that from the orbital septum or palpebral fascia. Now deep to this there is a skeleton of the eyelids that form the tarsal plates. They are the two tarsi, upper tarsal plate and lower tarsal plate. They are nothing but the condensed fibrous tissue which provides stiffness to the eyelids, present on the margin of the eyelids. These are the tarsal plates. Now these tarsal plates are covered by the conjunctiva. Conjunctiva, it is a transparent membrane which lining the inner aspect of the upper eyelid as well as lower eyelid. That is called as a palpebral conjunctiva. This one is the palpebral conjunctiva. Now this conjunctiva is reflected over the eyeball, in front of the eyeball, sclera and cornea. That from the bulbar conjunctiva. So there are two parts of the conjunctiva, palpebral conjunctiva and bulbar conjunctiva. Palpebral conjunctiva lining the eyelids, upper as well as lower eyelids, and then it is reflected from the posterior aspect over the eyeball as a bulbar conjunctiva. So this bulbar conjunctiva over the anterior aspect of the cornea, that form the thickening layer, and that form the anterior epithelium of the cornea. Okay, while in the palpebral conjunctiva it is a loosely attached over the eyelids, inner aspect of the eyelids, right? In bulbar conjunctiva, it is a highly vascular structure. It is a very thin, loosely attached over the eyeball, and it is the thick and opaque, and it is highly vascular structure. Now this diagram showing the outer structure of the eyeball, so that from the uh, orbital septum, upper aspect as well as lower aspect, nothing but the inner aspect of the skin of the eyelids. So that from the palpebral fascia or orbital septum. Now along the margin of the eyelids, this palpebral fascia become thickened and from the two tarsi, superior and inferior. Superior tarsal plate is the larger one compared to inferior tarsal plates. Now the area between the two tarsal plates, that is called as a palpebral fissure. So here upper eyelids cover about one fifth portion of the cornea. This is the pupil, iris, cornea, and sclera. Now on its side, this palpebral fascia or orbital septum also become thickened near the medial angle and near the lateral angle of the eyeball. That from the medial as well as lateral palpebral ligament. Now today's our discussion topic is lacrimal apparatus. So most of the structure of the lacrimal apparatus present here near the medial angle of the eye. And lacrimal gland is present on the anterolateral roof of the orbital cavity. Okay. So structure present deep to this medial palpebral ligament. There is a presence of lacrimal fossa in the medial wall of the bony orbit. Here there is a structure of the palpebral fissure showing the opening on the anterior margin of the eyelids. There is opening of the ciliary glands, and on the posterior lid margin there is opening of the tarsal glands. On the medial aspect there is a lacrimal caruncle, that is a reddish fleshy appearance, that is elevated part, can be seen near the medial angle of the eye. This triangular space, it is called the lacus lacrimalis. This is the plica semilunaris. Right. Now within the this lacus lacrimalis, there is a opening of the small opening that is called as a lacrimal punctum. Lacrimal punctum is covered by the lacrimal papilla. So these are the structures, these are the parts of the palpebral fissures on the eyelids. Now lacrimal gland, that is present on the roof of the orbital cavity. There is a lacrimal fossa is there. So most of the part of the lacrimal gland is attached within the lacrimal fossa. And some part is present within the upper eyelid. Now this lacrimal gland is about J-shape. It is a serous gland. It has two parts, orbital part, and this one is a smaller part, that is the palpebral part of the lacrimal. Now orbital part of the lacrimal gland is about almond in shape, right? And that is present within the lacrimal fossa. And on the posterior aspect, it is continuous with the palpebral part by the tendon of the levator palpebrae superioris, right? Now this palpebral part is a smaller one. It lies within the peripheral portion of the upper eyelid. Now this lacrimal gland having multiple ducts through which secretion of the lacrimal gland is come out. So there are about 4 or 5 ducts within the orbital part of the lacrimal gland and about 6 to 8 small ducts present in the palpebral part of the lacrimal gland. Through this duct, tear or lacrimal fluid is secreted within the conjunctival sac. Conjunctival sac, it is nothing but the potential space between the bulbar and palpebral conjunctiva. Now this conjunctival sac contains the 3 layers of the fluid, film of the fluid. Watery fluid from the lacrimal glands, lacrimal fluid, and viscid, white in color, mucus-like secretion, that is from the secretion from the conjunctival gland, and also oily from the tarsal glands. Oily secretion from the tarsal gland. So this type of film of the conjunctival fluid it containing within the conjunctival sac. Okay. Now this conjunctival sac liquids then finally enter into the lacrimal sac. So lacrimal sac is present within the lacrimal groove, present within the lacrimal bone of the medial wall of the bony orbit. Now, but how it enters the lacrimal sac? So initially this lacrimal fluid from the conjunctival sac enter the lacrimal canaliculus via this lacrimal punctum. There is a small openings on the upper aspect as well as lower aspect. Through this punctum, lacrimal fluid or tear enter the lacrimal canaliculus. Now there are two lacrimal canaliculus about 12 millimeter in long, 10 to 12. 2 millimeter is the vertical part and 10 millimeter is the horizontal part. Now from the upper eyelids, this upper canaliculus is extend upward, then downward and medial. From the lower eyelids, lower canaliculus is extend first of all downward, then passes upward and medial. And both the upper and lower canaliculus finally open either through one aperture or through two different aperture within the lateral wall of the lacrimal sac. Okay. Now from the bending portion on upper aspect as well as lower aspect, there is a some degree of dilatation is there. That is called as a ampulla. Near the bending portion of the upper canaliculus as well as lower canaliculus, there is a dilatation is there. That is called as a ampulla. Now both the canaliculus finally enter into the lacrimal sac. Now what is lacrimal sac? Lacrimal sac is a one side blinded end. It is a membranous sac about 12 millimeter long and 4 to 5 millimeter wide. Membranous sac. Now this lacrimal sac is present within the lacrimal groove, present within the lacrimal bone of the medial bony wall of the orbital cavity. Now on the inferior aspect, this lacrimal sac is continuous with the nasolacrimal duct. Now there are three parts: fundus, body, and neck. The neck from the neck of the lacrimal sac onwards, it is continuous with the nasolacrimal duct. Okay. Now nasolacrimal duct, it is an about 18 millimeter long membranous duct that passes through nasolacrimal canal that connects the medial bony wall of the orbital cavity with the lateral wall of the nose. In the lateral wall of the nose, there is an inferior nasal concha, and deep to the inferior nasal concha, there is a passage is there that is called inferior meatus of the nose. So within the inferior meatus of the nose, this nasolacrimal canal is open, and within this nasolacrimal canal, this nasolacrimal duct is passes. Finally, nasolacrimal duct open the inferior meatus of the nose. Near the opening within the inferior meatus of the nose, there is a wall of Hesner is there, or we can say lacrimal fold is there, which act as a valvular mechanism. So it prevents the air entry from nose to eye. So act as a valvular mechanism. That is called as a wall of Hesner. Okay. So these are the parts of the lacrimal apparatus. Now we discuss how this lacrimal gland secretion is secreted out. There is a one mechanism, secretomotor fibers of the pterygopalatine ganglion, which carries the secretomotor fibers for the lacrimal gland. So this diagram showing the how secretomotor fibers are supply the lacrimal gland. So its fibers initially starting from the this is the brain stem present within the cranial cavity, right? So there are three parts of the brain stem from above downward. There is a midbrain, pons, and medulla oblongata. So within the pons, there is a nucleus is there that is called the lacrimetry nucleus for the lacrimal gland. So from the lacrimetry nucleus, fibers are passes via sensory route of the facial nerve that is called as a nervous intermediate. And the sensory route and motor route of the facial nerve finally enter via internal acoustic meatus. And within the internal acoustic meatus, there is a geniculate ganglion is there. So from the geniculate ganglion, finally the facial nerve gives the first branch that is called as a greater petrosal nerve. And this greater petrosal nerve unite with the deep petrosal nerve and form the nerve of pterygoid canal. So this nerve of the pterygoid canal passes through this pterygoid canal and come out from the pterygoid canal and enter the pterygopalatine fossa. In the pterygopalatine fossa, there is a one peripheral parasympathetic ganglion is present that is called as a pterygopalatine ganglion, or we can say sphenopalatine ganglion. So within this ganglion, this nerve of the pterygoid canal, also called as a Vidian's nerve, is relay. So up to here, this that form the preganglionic fibers. Now after relay, postganglionic fiber are realized, and that is carried via zygomatic nerve. Zygomatic nerve is nothing but the branch of the maxillary nerve. So again, this fiber enter the maxillary nerve, and via zygomatic nerve, branch of the maxillary nerve, this postganglionic fiber are passes upward, and it gives a zygomatic or temporal nerve. And later on, for the course of the zygomatic or temporal nerve, it communicates with the lacrimal nerve. So lacrimal nerve is the branch of the ophthalmic division of the trigeminal. So communicating via the zygomatic or temporal. So finally, this lacrimal nerve relay is a secretomotor fiber for the lacrimal gland. Finally, that secretes the lacrimal fluid or tear. So postganglionic fiber carried via the lacrimal nerve. Finally, now last this diagram showing the relation of the lacrimal sac. These are the anterior, posterior, medial, and lateral. Anteriorly, there is a medial palpebral ligament. As we already learned, there is a thickening of the orbital fascia or orbital septum or palpebral fascia on the medial angle and lateral angle of the eye. That portion become thickened. That is called as a medial palpebral ligament. So that form the anterior aspect of the lacrimal sac. While the posterior aspect of the lacrimal sac that is formed by the lacrimal part of the orbicularis muscle, orbicularis oculi muscle, and this boundary is formed by this over which this lacrimal sac is situated. Therefore, that is formed by this upper aspect. There is a posterior lacrimal crest part of the lacrimal bone, and on the inferior aspect there is an anterior lacrimal crest part of the frontal process of the maxilla. While on the medial side, this lacrimal sac is covered by this lacrimal groove as well as this minute arterial plexus is there. While on the lateral aspect, it is covered by this lacrimal fascia and the minute venous plexus coming from the orbital septum. Right? So these are the relation of the lacrimal sac. So I hope you understand very well about the lacrimal apparatus. Thank you.